Hi. Um, this is one of my favorites, and it actually sold this week. So while I still have it, before it goes away, I wanted to tell you a little bit about it and how it came into being, because it's this beautiful story I've been holding. There was two concepts I was playing with. One was the life, sex, death concept. That sex is what ties us to the life, death existence. Otherwise, like technology, we'd just be energy. We wouldn't have to go through the cycle of life and death. The yogis talk about the yugas, and that we live in the heaviest one, which means that we have to see our own decay. We have to experience, or that we've been living in it and we're actually starting to move out of it, which I think might be the transition to more of a technological age where that energy doesn't have to decay or experience the idea of decay. But that's a whole nother painting. Anyways, the original concept was about the life, death, sex cycle. And so there was that, and then there was the concept that every time I looked at an orchid, I always thought it looked like the female parts. I thought it looked like a female. And something that, humans can look at freely and not feel like, oh, I shouldn't be looking at that. And I think that to have a sex positive culture is one of the ways we're going to grow as a human species, because not talking about it is a lot of the shadow world and work that we have to live in. When sex, it can be a normal conversation, then I think that will mature our species. So I wanted to do something where it's the next step in that. So I have the life-death concept. So you have the skeleton in the center with the legs spread. And that is the idea that, entering into the sexual realm also means death. And then I have the females on the side, which I guess are kind of closed-legged because they're crossing their legs. And she kind of parallels there, but represents Lilith. And if you don't know, Lilith was in Jewish mythology. She was the woman who was made at the same time as Adam, of the same clay, same exact time, not from his rib, same time, same being, but she refused to be submissive to him, and she refused to lie beneath him. So she was either banished or she ran away. I don't know. There's different writings. The Kabbalah writes about it too. But anyway, so that's the idea there, and we have kind of like the DNA in the crown of thorns. So kind of the crucifixion of our DNA being locked in a life-death cycle, and kind of the helm of the ship. Also, Lilith means creature of the night, or also translate into owl. So you have the owl here, which in many cultures, Tecolote in Mexico and up here in the Pacific Northwest, means death. Owl represents, I actually an owl on my shoulder that represents death and that cycle. So then the next part of the painting is really exciting, because once I started studying the orchids, I looked up information about orchids and wanted to figure out which one I wanted to use, and I came to find out that the orchid is the most prolific, and there's more orchids on the planet than there are any other species of flower. It is the most prolific. It has so many different varieties that it covers the planet, and I was like, wow, well, who pollinates those? Because that's an important job, obviously, if they're all over the planet. And so I was like, is it a bird? Is it a bee? Is it what does it? And so all I did was type in orchid bee, and what comes up is the I want to say this right, Ugolisi. I'm probably butchering it, but that's the Latin name. But it is it's an orchid bee. You can look it up, and it is from South America. It's actually a newer species, although old enough that Darwin studied it and was fascinated by it. And it's beautiful. It's gorgeous and green and iridescent and psychedelic looking and just stunning. And it has this beautiful dance with the orchid that's a little bit different than normal bees with flowers. So it's not actually going in for the pollen, although orchids don't have loose pollen. They have pollen balls that are very sticky. They have like a glue on them, like a little attachment with a glue. But the bee isn't going in for that. The bee is going in because of the smell on the petals. It goes in and it actually collects it and then puts it on its legs, its back legs specifically. And then that mixes with its chemistry and a little bit of, some mud or whatever, and it ends up making a cologne that then entices, because all the male bees are going into the orchid. And then that smell, cologne, attracts the other female bees. And then they do a little bee dance and then the whole cycle starts over. And then while they're doing that, then the little pollen sacs end up sticking to the bee, and then the next orchid it goes in and pollinates that. So, a beautiful, symbiotic, gorgeous dance. And what was most fascinating to me, though, was how prolific the bee is, and that it actually, is from South America and it's working its way up through North America. I think it's like in Florida and Texas. So it's starting to come up even further. And it shows once again the life cycle. And so although there are some bees on the planet that are having a hard time, other bees are coming in. New species we're discovering new species every day. And so it's interesting that the planet itself has a much larger plan than our little, egoic minds think that we know what's going on. But really there's transformation going on and natural cycles that are continual cycles. So anyways, that's a little bit about the painting, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I appreciate your time.